All right, what's up, everybody? Jimmy V here, and it is a big week for mortgage interest rates, and that's exactly what I want to talk with you about today. So I'll let the audience build here for just a second. Hope you guys had a great weekend, getting ready to get back after it to start the week. I'm working on some fresh new content that I don't know, I'm excited about, and if I'm excited about it, I hope you guys will find it to be of value because, after all, that's my mission, to provide value to the marketplace. Somebody taught me this a long time ago, and this is something that I want more veterans to know and understand, not just veterans, right? Anybody, in that our income, right? Your income, your ability to provide for your family, my ability to provide for mine is directly related to one thing. Have you guys heard this before? So this was taught to me by a gentleman named Brian Tracy. He said, our income is directly related to the value that you and I provide the marketplace. So if we want our income to go up, right, then we need to work on becoming more valuable. And Jim Rohn, maybe you guys have heard of him before, but he said, go to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, right? Becoming more valuable to the marketplace, I think helps us, to level up. But anyways, that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk about is this week for mortgage interest rates. It's a big week. The reason why is because the Fed will be meeting. The Fed will be meeting, and it's widely expected that the Fed is going to decrease the Fed funds rate by another 25 basis points. Okay, so here's what that means. It means that the cost of borrowing across the board is going to continue to go lower on things like auto loans, okay, credit card payments, home equity lines of credit, and lastly, adjustable rate mortgages. So this is good news for the economy. What it does not mean that mortgage interest rates are going to go lower by 25 basis points. By the way, what is 25 basis points? Us mortgage loan originators confuse a lot of people when we use this fancy word, 25 basis points, 0.25%, a quarter of a percentage point. That's what basis points means. So that's what's going to happen. Now, again, it doesn't mean that interest rates are going to go lower by that amount. What it means is that the cost of borrowing across the board is going lower on those things that I just mentioned. Having said all of that, right, this is good news for veteran home buyers really across the board, because when the Fed does this, it shows that inflation is moderating. Okay, and if inflation is moderating, that means that mortgage interest rates as a whole are going lower, or in other words, there's downward pressure on mortgage rates. So when there's downward pressure on mortgage rates, right, that helps us as veterans to save money by way of monthly payment, by way of the amount of interest that we pay to the bank every month. I've never met a veteran that wants to pay more interest than they have to the bank, understandably so. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. There's also talk that the Fed will decrease the federal funds rate in their December meeting. But here's what I want you to know, okay? When Fed Chair Jerome Powell gives when the Fed gives the decision, right, what they're going to do, decrease the Fed funds rate, Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks right after that, and a bunch of reporters ask him questions, right? And what investors do is they follow his every word to try and get true clues into how the Fed is thinking. And markets will react to this news one way or another. So if the Fed is viewed as, there's a term in economics called hawkish, right? In other words, they're really going after inflation. They're going to try and tame it, cool it down, right? That's typically kind of like a wet blanket for the economy. They're making everything more spending. But if they're dovish, think of that word dovish, pretty dove, right? Warm, caring, nurturing, etc. If they're dovish, the economy likes that, because the Fed is acting on behalf to kind of stoke the fan the flame of the economy. So that's what I think is going to happen. Okay, I think based off of everything that I'm reading, the Fed is going to decrease the Fed funds rate. I think that mortgage interest rates are going to continue to experience downward pressure for the foreseeable future, which of course is great news for you. You guys listen to this. I just had a veteran buyer close on their house. They got $20,000 in seller concessions. You say 20 G's, Jimmy? Yeah, 20 G's. They used that money, right? Check this out. They used that money to pay literally every single penny of closing costs and even use the extra money to buy down their interest rate at closing. So this is the type of stuff that's taking place in the economy right now, especially in this market where veterans are in the driver's seat. You guys are able to drive negotiations. By the way, have I introduced myself yet? If I haven't, I'm so sorry. My name is Jimmy Vercellino. I'm a Marine vet, mortgage loan originator, specialize in VA loans. I help veterans all across the country. And if I can personally be a resource for you, I'm always here to help. Okay. I'm not hard to find. You can go to my website, valoans4vets.com, and schedule a consultation with me. Roger that. So if you guys have any questions about what's taking place in the economy or VA loans or interest rates, throw it in the chat box, right? This is what I'm here for. I've had some fun doing these Sunday night lives, right? And believe it or not, I've started to have a lot of people show up. And even while football's on, right? I don't know. Did you guys see those Steeler uniforms tonight? I don't know, man. I don't know who made that call or that decision, but they are, let's just say, not my favorite. Okay. And I'm being awfully kind when I say that. So anyhow, good news for the Raiders, right? We didn't lose today. We had a bye week. Yeah, it's that bad. But anyhow, man, that's what's going on over here. So here's what I think is going to happen. I'm just finished a video, 7 trends for 2026 that I see taking place. Should I give you guys the trends? I'll give you a couple of them. Okay. One trend is I think that mortgage rates are going to continue to decrease. I think that as a result, another trend is going to be refinancing. So you may have heard me talk about VA loans and refinances already. And if you already have a VA loan or you don't have any questions about VA refis, come back, turn this off, and then come back in a little bit when I'm talking about something else. But VA refis, right? There's 2 types. There's a cash out where you can pull money out of your property, right? Meaning you can borrow up to 90% of the home's appraised value at closing. So here's a simple example. Let's say that you owed $50,000 on a house. Math for Marines here, okay? Owed $50,000 on a house. The house is worth $100K. You can borrow up to $90,000 on the property, right? That's how that works. So that's what VA allows us to do as veterans is pull cash out. So what I'm seeing a lot take place right now is veterans pulling cash out to possibly consolidate, right? High interest rate credit card debt, right? Save money, increase monthly cash flow. That's one way. Another way you can increase monthly cash flow is through something called the VA IRRL, interest rate refinance reduction loan. Kind of a mouthful, but these loans are really cool. And the reason why is because you're able to reduce your VA interest rate with no appraisal, no income documents, no asset documents, right? You can roll all of the costs in conjunction with the mortgage into the loan. Okay. So you one person said this, I never forgot. It's kind of like shuffling some paperwork. You're obviously doing more than that, but you're kind of shuffling paperwork. And 30 days later, you're closing on the VA loan. So it's pretty cool, right? So anyway, that's what's going on with VA loans in refinancing. One of the other trends that I talked about is VA construction. I think we're going to see a lot more VA construction. A lot of people, a lot of veterans don't know that you can actually use a VA loan for construction related purposes. Excuse me. And it can be done. It's called VA construction to perm loan. One loan, one closing, pretty straightforward deal, pretty neat loan. You just got to find somebody who's willing to do it. And I happen to be one of them. All right. So if I can personally be a resource for you, happy to do so. What's up, Guitar Gardens? Had a question. Thanks for chiming in. It always takes one person to set off the questions, right? And then the questions just start flowing. So I appreciate you being number one there, Guitar. Guitar says, just about to close on a new home in Cali. Got a VA loan, 2nd tier. So guys, when he says 2nd tier or 2-tier, that means 2nd tier entitlement, okay? Meaning he's probably got an existing VA loan right now, right? So now have 2 homes, right, on VA loans, got a rate of 5.5%, bought down to 4.75. Dude, virtual fist bump, bro. Bam. All right. Love to hear that, brother. So Guitar, you bring up a good point, right? So a lot of vets don't know this, right? That you can have multiple VA loans at the same time. I recently uploaded a video where I talk about you can have 4, 5, 10 homes with the VA loan. You know, people just don't know this stuff. You go, Jimmy, how in the world can you do that? Well, you have to use what's referred to as bonus entitlement. And when you've exhausted all of your entitlement, you can still use multiple VA loans. You just have to come up with a 25% down payment. So let me give you guys a very simple framework to follow here. Let's say that, you know, you wanted to buy another house, more desirable location, bigger square footage, house with the pool, whatever the case may be. Let's say that you borrowed, I don't know, let's just say $200,000 on your first home. Maybe you bought real cheap in 2020 or something, maybe less than that, who knows. You borrowed $200K on the first house. Well, conforming loan limits for 2025, this number is going to change at the end of the year, by the way. But conforming loan limits for 2025 are going to go up, or excuse me, 2026. But in this case, 806,500 is the conforming loan limit. So if 806,500 is the conforming loan limit, you borrowed 200 already. Well, how much do you have left over? 606,500, right? And now you can buy multiple homes up to 606,500 with a VA loan with no money down, I might add. So isn't that cool? All right. So guys, listen, if I've earned it so far, if you've found some value in this live stream, consider showing your love, clicking like on the video. It would mean a lot, helps to promote it in the algorithm and educate more veterans and active duty military. Sorry, guys. What else do we want to talk about? I'm all yours. So keep the comments and questions coming along. If you're just joining me, my name's Jimmy V. I lend nationwide in partnership with my bank, Luminate. When I say my bank, I should say the bank that I partner with. I don't own the bank. But anyhow, I partner with Luminate Bank, and we lend nationwide, and I help veterans all across this great nation. So Guitar Garden says, I learned about Tier 2 option from watching your videos. Dude, that brings me great joy to hear you say that. Thanks, brother. Hat tip to you there. You know, that's good to go, man. So, hey, tell more veterans about the video. And you know what else? You know, I don't know if I want to get like super fired up right now, but you know, I don't charge money for this stuff. You know how I get compensated? When a veteran chooses me to lock arms with them and my company lends them the money for the home purchase. I don't sell courses, guys. All right. I don't say, you know, I'm going to help you build a, you know, real estate of 100 homes in your portfolio. No, dude. Like, you don't have to sign up for my course. All you have to do, just like Guitar said right now, is watch my freaking videos and you'll get the knowledge and information for free. If you want to work with me, awesome. I'd love to help you. If you don't, well, guess what? You still, just like Guitar, got the information. You put rounds down range, and it brings me great joy to hear you say that. I have some sensitivity to people that sell courses to veterans and say that you could do X, Y, and Z, because I've actually sat in on some of those courses, and there's been some stuff in there that I'm like, yeah, no, dude, no, not okay, right? When I say not okay, you're telling veterans things who don't know any better. I'll tell you what they said. There was one guy, he's really selling, right? There was one guy that bought a house and he got cash. He got paid to buy a house at closing. Dude, you can't say that. You're not even a mortgage loan originator, number one. Number two, no, he didn't get paid to buy a house at closing. What he did was he got his earnest money back. So let's not disguise that and tell veterans that veterans are getting paid to buy houses while you're trying to sell your course. Stop it. Get some help, right? I'm just kidding. But anyways, I am serious about that part. So if you're watching this video, I'm answering VA loan related questions. If you have a question about a VA loan, maybe somebody told you something about a VA loan. You're like, damn, dude, is that true? Was that true when they said that VA loans take longer to close, or that the VA appraisal process is for bums? You know, like what is that all about? Just ask away. All right. That's what I'm here for. And if you guys don't have any follow-up questions, you know, tells me I can end the chat, right? Because I don't want to be the one just doing all the talking. I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions. That's why I come on here. So if you guys do have follow-up questions, or you want to book a time to speak with me directly, you can do so by visiting my website. I guess I'll just throw it in the chat box here really quick, www.valoansforvets.com. That's my website, y'all. And you can book a time to speak with me there. So, yeah, I think we talked about the Fed. We talked about some of the trends that I'm seeing take place in 2026. I'm getting ready to upload another video that I think is going to be fun. We'll see how it goes. But, basically the title of the video, tell me what you guys think. The title of the video is I'm 43 years old. If you're a veteran in your 20s, watch this. So, or I'm a 43-year-old veteran. If you're a veteran in your 20s, watch this. And I feel like veterans just as a whole, especially those in their 20s, like I wish I had like a mentor that really kind of, that I had somebody to lock arms with and share with me some of the wisdom that I've been able to acquire over the duration of my career in life, for that matter, that I can then pour back into veterans, or that somebody would have poured that into me. Now, granted, of course, I had mentors, but I maybe could have gone in a straight line quicker. And that's what I'm trying to share with veterans. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm all about. What questions can I answer for you guys? I played a ton of tennis today, y'all. I am beat up, tired. I played in a tournament. That is one of my hobbies, I guess you could say. I play a ton of tennis. My wife plays tennis. My son plays tennis. My daughter plays tennis. Tennis has changed my life. Actually, that's one of the things that I'm going to tell my veterans in that video is to play tennis. And the reason why is because we got to be healthy. Yeah, we could always, take care of ourselves better, but yeah, we got to be healthy as veterans. We got to take care of our bodies. We got beat up, nicked up in our time in the military. So we got to make sure that we're loving on ourselves, staying active. But anyways, what other questions do you see? You guys got me all around the globe here talking about different things. So, by the way, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do that too. There's a lot of information on there that I think you'd like to find, or that you'd find rather, to be of value on VA loans. So I talked about refinancing. I talked about the seller's market. I talked about how inflation is moderating, and we think that the Fed will decrease the Fed funds rate. My personal prediction is that mortgage interest rates will drop into the fours in 2026. I could be wrong, but that's just my prediction. I can predict something, right? Doesn't mean I'll be right, but I think that all indicators likely lead to, with reduced inflation, I think rates will be in the fours. Now, here's what I will say, because you know how like in the medical field, you'll hear some words and it'll scare you at times. You're like, dude, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? Well, it's the same thing in mortgage, right? Like economists and all these people use these flashy terms, but really they're not that confusing, right? And so my point in sharing that, there's two reports, okay? Here's the reports that I want you to know about. There's a report called CPI. Well, maybe I'll give you three: CPI, PPI, and PCE. So CPI stands for, oh my gosh, Consumer Price Index. Hello, Jimmy V. Come on, man. I told you I was tired. Consumer Price Index. PPI stands for Producer Price Index, and PCE stands for Personal Consumption Expenditure. So CPI is a basket of goods and services, okay, that the government selects every month to gauge how inflation is tracking, right? So the Fed's target rate for inflation is 2%. Well, the most recent CPI came in at 3%. So inflation remains higher than where they want it. However, right, it's moderating from where it was, which is good news. So that's why interest rates are going lower. Secondly, okay, PPI, this measures inflation on a wholesale level. Think of it like manufacturers building things. How much does it cost them, right? That's obviously going to flow through into our overall goods and services, right? Everyday lives. And then inflation goes up, mortgage interest rates go up as well. And then PCE, kind of like a giant receipt of how Americans are spending their money and what they're spending it on and the cost of those goods. So, as inflation goes down, right, you'll see mortgage rates follow, but keep an eye on those reports, guys. The three that I just listed. If you do that, you've kind of got your finger on the pulse of the economy. You can track mortgage rates just like I do. Okay. It's like, yes, I pay consultants on Wall Street to monitor mortgage-backed securities and things of that nature, which is a little bit more technical. But you want to have a good gauge on inflation, follow the 10-year treasury, follow those three reports, And yeah, you're going to be following mortgage interest rates right there with Jimmy V. All right. So yeah, I don't know if I think I've talked about that before, but maybe not, you know, to that level. So that's it, guys. What else do you want to talk about? I won't talk here all night if I don't need to. I want to make sure that I'm answering your guys' questions. What branch of the service were you guys in? I'll start. Okay. I was in the world's finest United States Marines. Okay. Marines. What about you guys? What branch did you guys serve in? Sound off really quick, man. Come on, guys. Don't make me be the only one that talks here tonight. Sound off. What branch did you serve in? All right, Guitar, what's up? Oh, Guitar said United States Air Force, aka Chair Force. Come on, man. That's cold-blooded, you know, but nothing but love. I guess you could say that. I always give a hard time to my Navy friends. I say, yes, we were a department of the Navy, but you know what? We were the men's department. Good to go. All right, nothing but love for my Navy friends and family there. So hat tip to you there, Guitar. Thanks for hanging in there and watching with me, bro. Guitar said earlier, he's like, Jimmy, I've been watching your videos. I just used second tier VA loan bonus entitlement to buy my second house. Dude, you're building and creating wealth as I talk about in the videos, brother. That's a beautiful thing. Hat tip to you there. So yeah, I think I'll keep this one short this evening. You know, appreciate you guys as always. Guitar, I'm happy to hear that you're doing great things in the marketplace. If I could ever personally be a resource for you, brother, I'm not hard to find. Good to go. So if you're watching this video, you found it to be of value and you think that I earned it, most importantly, consider showing your love, clicking like on the video. So that way it helps reach more veterans in active duty military. All right. Thanks, man. He says, get some rest after all that tennis. Yeah, dude, we played 5 sets of tennis today. Dude, listen, even though it was doubles, crap, dude. I got some hip stuff, back stuff going on, the whole 9 yards. So anyways, appreciate you, my man. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you soon.